The first hour of silence would not be an explosion. It would be a terrifying, global silence. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, reaching for your phone as you do every day, and finding it is a useless slab of metal and glass. It's not just a localized outage. Every satellite connection is severed. Every undersea cable is inert. Every local server is permanently blank. The first hour is defined by confusion and denial. You try resetting your router, then your phone, convincing yourself it's a personal issue. You look outside and see your neighbors doing the same, a collective wave of mild panic spreading down the street. It is the terrifying, dawning realization that the global neural network has been entirely erased. The digital amniotic fluid that surrounds us all has evaporated, leaving 8 billion people suddenly, violently, hyper-aware of their own agonizing isolation. Our primary window to the universe hasn't just been closed, it has been completely bricked over, and humanity begins to collectively hyperventilate.
The economic extinction event, the immediate economic collapse that follows, would make the Great Depression look like a minor inconvenience. Because 90% of the world's wealth exists only as digital ledger entries, money itself evaporates overnight. Banking apps are blank, credit card networks are useless, ATMs are lifeless blocks. If you don't have physical cash in your wallet at this very moment, you are instantly impoverished. But the economic extinction goes deeper than consumer spending. Global supply chains, meticulously optimized by networked algorithms, immediately freeze. Containers sit on ships that cannot be tracked. Thousands of trucks are stranded on highways because they cannot coordinate pickups or navigate complex digital routes. The just-in-time delivery model that stocks every grocery store and gas station fails instantly. Within 4 hours, the entire global trade network is paralyzed. We have plenty of resources, but absolutely no digital mechanism left to organize, move, or trade them. Capitalism has not just crashed, it has suffered total algorithmic cardiac arrest, leaving us staring at a world where value must be aggressively reinvented from scratch.
The infrastructural blackout. We quickly discover that the internet wasn't just for cat videos, it was the active circulatory system for our physical infrastructure. The networks that manage and balance electric grids are gone, plunging major cities into immediate physical darkness within hours. Water treatment plants, reliant on automated digital protocols and networked flow controls, cease function. Air traffic control networks are paralyzed, forcing thousands of aircraft to perform dangerous visual landings or face mid-air disasters. Modern emergency services, police, fire, and hospitals find themselves blind and deaf, their sophisticated dispatch and communication systems entirely inert. Even modern vehicles, reliant on GPS, satellite mapping, and internal software-driven diagnostics, are rendered unreliable or useless. It is a rapid, cascading surrender of industrial civilization, a domino effect that strips away 200 years of technological progress in less than a day. Humanity finds itself thrown backward into a pre-industrial reality, physically trapped and entirely exposed to the elements, realizing that our physical survival was entirely tethered to a fragile digital ghost that has now abandoned us.
The starvation horizon. The immediate infrastructural failure quickly accelerates toward a terrifying and violent reality: starvation. Without networked logistics to coordinate fertilizer delivery, seed distribution, or industrialized harvesting, the entire global agriculture system collapses. The modern grocery store has, at most, 3 days of inventory, and without just-in-time refilling, the shelves are stripped bare within hours of the blackout. This isn't a temporary scarcity. It is the death of predictable food. Looting transforms from a crime into a necessary act of survival. Emergency services, already blind, find themselves completely unable to control the desperate societal chaos. Rumors of food dumps or still operational cities spread like wildfire, causing mass panics and dangerous stampede-like migrations out of starving dark urban centers and into a countryside that is equally unprepared to feed millions of refugees. The thin blue line of societal civility is violently erased, replaced by the primitive brutality of resource competition. In this dark, silent void, where neighbors become adversaries and trust evaporates, we realize that absolute truth is not a utopia. It is a Hunger Games, where the ability to acquire physical necessities becomes the only moral, ethical, and legal framework left.
The geopolitical amnesia, nuclear chaos, and war. The global power balance dissolves overnight, replaced by a terrifying geopolitical amnesia. Every international treaty, intelligence network, and surveillance apparatus that maintains nuclear deterrence is immediately blank. Every modern military, from drone command centers to satellite communication arrays, is paralyzed and deaf. In this vacuum of global oversight, old, simmering territorial disputes and historical rivalries erupt instantly. Nations with standing armies but no global visibility are blind. They might lash out in existential panic, mistaking the communication blackout for a physical attack, potentially triggering nuclear escalation simply because they have lost the ability to observe their adversaries. Smaller regional powers seize the opportunity to settle scores while global superpowers are blind. Surveillance and information become localized weapons, and without global news or satellite truth, we enter a dark age where the powerful rewrite history and borders at gunpoint. Humanity does not just lose its immediate connection, we lose our memory of global cooperation, reverting back to tribalism, where power belongs solely to those who possess physical force and can enforce a new, localized, and brutal form of justice. The amnesia crisis. Humanity faces an agonizing existential crisis, the absolute death of its collective knowledge. Everything stored in the cloud, from Wikipedia and academic research to ancestry records and medical data, is permanently deleted. Digital archives, historical photographs, art catalogs, and entire library databases are erased. We are collectively stripped of our history, science, and shared cultural identity. We are forced to realize how little information is physically written down and how quickly digital dependencies lead to cognitive decay. The physician cannot access digital patient histories. The engineer cannot retrieve digital blueprints. The student cannot access educational resources. We face a massive global amnesia, a deletion of the intellectual progress achieved over the last 40 years. Our libraries, long neglected and digitized, can offer little sanctuary. Humanity stands amidst the wreckage of our digital library of Alexandria, realizing that we are not just isolated from each other in space, we are now permanently isolated from our past, forced to reinvent science, history, and medicine from oral memory and scattered physical books, while knowing that centuries of digital progress have been permanently buried. The psychological shattering of billions of people is perhaps the most devastating aspect of the internet's deletion. Humanity is violently decoupled from its primary source of dopamine, validation, and simulated connection. Billions are suddenly thrust into a forced, agonizing existential lockdown. The hyper-connected self, which only existed through digital feedback loops, is instantly deleted. The anxiety is profound. Boredom, once a minor annoyance, transforms into a terrifying, crushing weight. People suffer severe withdrawal from social media addiction, their nervous systems entirely unprepared for agonizing isolation and total silence. Mental health crises spike as the protective bubble of constant distraction evaporates. We have lost our primary coping mechanism, and the internal monologue we avoided for decades is now screamed back at us. Relationships, previously maintained through casual texts, either solidify through physical proximity or dissolve completely. We realize that absolute truth is not a utopia. It is an intrusion into the one private sanctuary we possessed, our own mind, which is now ripped open and forced to confront its own unsimulated, terrified reality. We have been permanently isolated inside our own heads, and the true tragedy is that we need the digital lie to tolerate each other, and losing it is the absolute end of the human connection.
Rebirth in the Rubble. The video essay concludes on this sobering note of finality and brutal rebirth. The internet is not just down, it is unmade. There will be no digital recovery. Humanity must rebuild civilization from the wreckage, accepting that the hyper-connected utopia was a fleeting, decades-long illusion. We must relearn how to communicate through physical letters, maintain memory through oral history, and survive through hard, localized physical labor. The concept of global community is dead. In its place, we are forced to rebuild true, agonizing, localized community, rooted in physical proximity and mutual survival. Trust must once again be earned through action, not through a curated profile. We are forced to see each other not with digital clarity, but with terrifying, brutal, pre-industrial clarity. A world that cannot lie through filters is a world that cannot live together, and we are forced into total isolation, realizing the ultimate tragedy. The ability to deceive was the only protective shield that allowed us to be human, and losing it marks the end of modern civilization, and the difficult, uncertain rebirth of primitive humanity in the rubble of our own digital delusions.